recent arrest of Andrew Tate. Now, who is Andrew Tate? Well, if you're on social media, unless you've been living under a rock, you know who Andrew Tate is. He's one of the biggest influencers, if not the biggest, on social media of recent months, recent times. He was a kickboxer, very successful. He was a champion. He has been in the news for a lot of his views, I would say, on women, on manhood, on young men being men, and he's attracted a lot of attention. Well, he was arrested recently in Romania, where he resides, from what I understand, and he was arrested allegedly for human trafficking. Let me go back a little bit first. Back in April, he was arrested again and detained when there was a tip that there were some women being held in his house against their will. That turned out to be a false allegation. There was no truth to it. I don't even believe he was arrested. He was asked to come down to the station house for some questioning. After about 45 minutes, they released him. And I think Andrew explained that he was a victim of swatting, where some people, just to get even with him that didn't like him, made some false accusation that something was going on in his house. And that's why the police arrived and detained him for questioning and found out there was nothing wrong, nothing had happened whatsoever. He was taken off of social media, again, allegedly for being a misogynist. They said at one time, I think he was on a television show, he was banned from that show because they said he was beating a woman. That turned out to be not true. The woman said that she was with him consensually. Another allegation that was not true. Now, obviously, when you're accused of misogyny, which nobody really agrees with, and I'm not saying he's a misogynist, I don't think he calls himself a misogynist, although he may have some different values because he's Romanian. They think differently there. A lot of the left is obviously not happy with him and has been talking about him and deriding him a lot. And look, I want to say this at this point in time, just some, details about the arrest. He has been arrested along with his brother. And again, the allegation, he hasn't been charged yet. The allegation or the investigation is around human trafficking. Allegedly, 4 women, I believe, were held without their consent and forced to do some things that allegedly were pornographic, and they were forced to do that without their consent. And that's what we're hearing, what the allegation is. Now, let me be really clear on this. He hasn't been charged. It's an arrest at this point, at least at the time of this video. Hasn't been charged. And even if he is charged, by the time you see this video, doesn't mean that he's guilty. Remember that. In this country, in America, we're innocent until proven guilty. And let me tell you something. I stand by that 1,000% because people, you understand this. People in law enforcement, people in government, people on the streets often lie. They often make mistakes with arrest. Let me tell you something. If you don't know this, it's 200 and some odd people, maybe more at this point in time, have been freed on death row. They were accused of, indicted for, and convicted of murder. And DNA testing proved that they were innocent. So are mistakes made? Yes, they're made quite often. And it's very, very tough to fight the government. So understand this. Just because somebody has been arrested and charged, don't automatically assume that they're guilty. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I've been in communication with Andrew. We've had conversations back and forth through text and otherwise. And there's some things that Andrew stands for that I really agree with. Young men being men. We have a lack of that, especially in the United States. And young men have to be guided in how to be a man. It's important. And Andrew talks about that. Is he abrasive at times? I get it. Look, he speaks what's on his mind. Some people don't like it. Is some of his views kind of controversial? Okay. I don't say I agree with everything that he's saying. But as far as his views on young men being men, I have to agree. And it's a major part of what I'll be doing over the next several months because I see a dearth of manhood among our men. And you know what? In our military, we want men. When a guy is walking down the street with his girlfriend, his wife, his sister, his daughter, and they get attacked for any reason by some drunk guy or some homeless guy, I don't want the guy to sit there while the women start to fight. I want the men to do the fighting. That's what men do. They protect their women, okay? So I agree with that, and I'm not going to expand upon it now, but let's get back to Andrew. I find it very, very, very hard to believe that somebody in his position would engage in what they're accusing him of engaging in. First of all, he's a very wealthy guy. He can get any woman he wants. He's a good-looking guy, and so is his brother, by the way. You know, they're a good-looking, pair, the two of them. Why he would engage in something like that is beyond me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. Here's something that is rather strange. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. But Greta Thunberg, you know who she is, the climate activist, he got into a beef with her. Okay, she's a darling of the left. Well, within 2 or 3 days, he gets arrested. Doesn't sound right to me. Again, it might be a coincidence. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. And people, we're allowed to express our opinions. This is my belief based upon what I know to this point. Now, let me be clear on this too. Human trafficking is horrible. It's disgusting. It's terrible. It really is. And if there's any truth to the allegation, well, law enforcement will take care of it. But at this point in time, I have a hard time believing it. And I want to tell the people on the left this. If anybody starts accusing him of this before he's found guilty or before the evidence is there to support the allegation, let me ask you this. Are you concerned what's happening on our southern border? Do you understand the human trafficking that is going on down there? Don't take my word for it. Speak to Border Patrol agents in the state of Texas or the state of Arizona or even the state of California. Speak to the Border Patrol agents and they will tell you that human trafficking is out of control. And what is our president doing about it? Nothing. He's trying to open the borders even further. God knows how much human trafficking is going on. Only God knows because we don't. We just know it's at a very high level. That's been reported. We understand that. And the White House knows about it. And so do all the left politicians. They understand it. So before you start screaming at Andrew Tate about an allegation that is yet unproven and nothing has been shown yet to substantiate that, not at the time of my making this video, okay, talk about our own southern border. And let me ask you this, Epstein, we know there was human trafficking there. Fact. Where's all the details? Why has nothing been released? Why? Because the Clintons are involved? Why? Because, I don't know, I heard that Trump might have been on that airplane too, or might have visited him. I don't know. We do know that there were a lot of politicians, a lot of famous people were involved with Epstein, no doubt. Why haven't we gotten the details about that? That was human trafficking. That's been proven. His girlfriend spoke about it. It's been proven. She's been convicted of it in a way. We're not hearing anything about that, are we? Why not?